with the traffic light at Phillips. Additionally, could there be plans for a light at National Drive and Westwood?
So that sounds good.
That does sound good.
If we could really do that. You know, you have a lot of things to look at. You have to look at who owns the properties through there. As far as the streets go, you got parish. I know with the park, there's parish on one side and then there's city on the other. It's many questions that I, again, would have to ask. And it does need to have a light right there at National and Hudson, to keep the accidents from happening, because that's a spot that many times accidents happen. So I would be okay with it if we could do it. And I would push, you know, with my council and with the mayor to see if we could do it. And I feel like if all of us work together, from the chief, to all the councils, the mayor, our parish, Mr. Howe, if everybody worked together to fight to get different things like lights and roads, we'd be successful in getting. So I think that's what I would push to do.
Thank you. Mrs. Bates?
Yes, we do need a light at Phillips Road. Traffic over there is backed up from 378 all the way down Phillips Road, down Sampson. Yes, we do need light. Now, as far as National and Johnstown, I don't know about that. I would have to study that. I really don't know about that. But I do think, and I do favor Phillips Road. And I know if I lived on Phillips Road, I wouldn't want to live there, because you can't even get out of your own back in your own driveway. I traveled that road many times, and that's what I find. That has to be done with the city council and also with the state. The state has a lot to say with this. And we can only do so much. We can advise, we can ask, but being taken care of, it has to be a cooperation with the state as well as the city.
Thank you.
Mr. Banks, may I address that question?
You sure can.
Sampson Street and Westwood Road is a state highway. In order for a red light or for that to take place, the 4 lanes going to be, have to be done on the state level. There have been plans or several renders of how to increase traffic on Westwood to get to Moss Bluff. There was talk about roundabouts down Sampson Street, or even a new bridge getting into Moss Bluff. So that, on that aspect, that would have to come from DOT, and the funding will probably more likely have to come from them to address that issue.
Thank you. Okay. This next one is for, we're gonna start off with Mr. Wheelwright. Basically, a 2-part question. It's 2 different questions, but I'm gonna kind of combine them because they kind of go hand in hand. The first one is, how many officers, full-time and part-time, are working for the Westlake Police Department? But the second half of that question is, with the new development on the golf course and around town, will the police department need more officers? I know we kind of talked about that, so you can answer that.
Right now, we have 18 full-time police officers, and with the part-time and reserves, we're probably about 25, 26. We are in the talks with the mayor and the council about increasing our police officers. There is a program out there called the COPS program, Community-Oriented Policing. There's a grant that we've looked into a couple of years ago. We recently looked at it again last year. It's a 75-25% match. With this grant, the grant pays 75% of the officer's salary for up to 3 years. The city would pay 25% for 3 years. After that 3 years ended, the city would have to take on the whole salary of those officers. Right now, the city's not in a financial state to do that, but that's something with the new development coming up that has been talked about. So we are looking for ways and different avenues to increase officers and get more officers on the streets.
Ms. Lidette, I know the first part of the question and answer basically on the number of employees, but on the second part, will the police department need more officers with the new development?
Absolutely, and same, you'd have to have that
the grant, even to think of it, it's a community grant, as he stated, you'd have to have that to even think about it. So.
Thank you. Mrs. Bates, what is the rate that businesses are charged for utilities within the city limits? If they're not charged for utilities, then why not?
Businesses are charged for utilities.
Sure are.
Their rates are the same as your citizens. We raised the rates of the utilities back when we first began our reign. We made some hard decisions. We had the $800,000 in the rent, so we had to make some very, very hard decisions immediately. And that was raising the rates of all the utilities of all the citizens of Westlake. We also stopped giving people the leeway of back pay. We had like 400 on the record of people that were not paying their utilities. Now we're down to like 35, 40 a month, where we were at 400. So yes, we have started taking care of that, and that has helped bring the revenue to our city, and that's what we're helping us today.
Thank you. Ms. Sharmita?
Repeat the question.
I sure can. What is the rate that businesses are charged for utilities within the city limits? The second part was if they're not charged for utilities, why not?
Jason, do you know the rate?
I don't even really know, we pay substantially.
Okay, so I don't know the rate. That would be something that I would ask. And also, I believe that they were faced with tough decisions, and 4 years ago, I did run for city council, and I wanted to help, and I knew that it was gonna be a tough decision for the council to raise all the utilities. So I would have been in that situation if I would have won that time. But I hope that we can possibly, at one time, get some things lowered. To just take, you know, being a mom and having a husband that works only, and I know it's tough for us to have those things. And like Ms. Betty said, you know, everybody had to have it done to them.
May I add something to this?
Let me let Ms. Sharmita finish.
So, with that being said, everybody had to do it. So I just feel that we could look at it, hopefully, in the next 4 years, and see if there is some way that we can just lighten the load. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Bates?
Our utilities have not been raised in over 10 years. It was very well needed and very well taken care of.
Start with Mr. Ledet. The idea of community policing is being discussed nationwide. The purpose of community policing is to emphasize proactive problem solving by having officers living in the community, getting to know the residents, and creating partnerships and strategies for reducing crime and disorder. What priority do you put on recruiting officers that live in the city?
I just feel like with the community orientation that we need and desire for Westlake, we need officers that are from here. It's just one of the main reasons why I'd like to be in schools. That way, they can't start at 18. They can start dispatching, probably ride along to see if they show interest, but every kid wants to be an officer or a firefighter at some point in their life. But if we can help them sustain that interest by being in the community and being in the schools and showing them, we will have more officers from this hometown.
Thank you. Mr. Wilrod?
It's hard to find, or let me say, it's hard to compete with the pay. To have people from our hometown working for us. When I come back here, starting pay for a police officer was $10.70 an hour. You can go out and be a whole wash for $25,000 an hour. So it's hard to get a young kid started in law enforcement $10 an hour. We've worked to raise our starting pay to attract more people, We do have young kids now that's starting to show more interest in coming work for the police department. We had a young guy a couple weeks ago who graduated, I think about a couple months ago, graduated from Westlake, who's working part-time. So yes, I would like to have more officers from Westlake. We used to have just about everybody from Westlake guys working here. The citizens, new officers, they had their relationship, but since then, with the way everything's going, the economy and the rate of pay and all this stuff, it's hard to attract or to keep the kids working here, competing with the big refineries that we have out around us. We do have a gentleman who's a retired officer from Lake Charles Police Department who's come to us about starting up the community policing program here in Westlake on a part-time basis. So we are working with him to get that program started here also, which is going to help build that relationship back inside the city.
Thank you. Okay. Mrs. Bates,
Yes, sir.
if and when gaming is allowed on land and Isla Capri moves inside city limits, three-part question. What would be the plans for that revenue? What party or parties would be in control of the appropriation and distribution of that revenue? And would it be possible for the schools to benefit from this revenue?
We're hoping that, the Island Capri will move into our city limits, which will bring more revenue to our city. But we are part of, we joined the gaming board for the parish, the Calhoun Parish. So that's bringing us $350,000 a year by joining the parish board. So we have already looked into that. It is bringing us revenue, and it's going to bring us more revenue by joining the board. So the money spent for the schools and so on and so forth is up to the council, up to the public, whatever is being spent. You have to bring this up to the council, up to the mayor, before we can have a decision as to what's going to be taken care of. We can't make these decisions unless it's brought up to us. And the only way you can bring those decisions to us is coming to the meetings and bringing it up to as an amendment.
Thank you. Ms. Sherby, do I need to repeat?
She answered the first part,
Okay.
because I did not know that. But the part about the school and her saying, that the council has to, well, I think that a lot of that, or some of that, should be to our schools too. You know, I watch the band, and they only get from the school board like $1,500 for uniforms. You know, and it's like, well, they got to find some way to get more money. Well, why not use that game to help the bands, to help the track teams? Even in SPR Net, they don't even have a track to jump long jumps or triple jumps. They have to do it on the concrete or the gym floor, you know. So those things, I would say, yes, we need to put that into our schools and work with Mr. Hardesty on doing those things, which is our school board representative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wheelwright? Are there any opportunities for continued training to handle Westlake's changing community? If so, is the training mandatory, and how often is it offered?
Yes, we have training every month is mandatory by officers, full-time officers. Now, with our part-time guys, we know that they do have other jobs, and it's kind of hard to have them attend training. Training is usually held during the daytime, and on the weekends, we usually have it like on the off day. So, yes, training is mandatory. We are required by the state to have a minimum of 20 hours per officer for training, which we go above that every year. So we do have training every month. We have the mandated training. And if the officers are not able to get all their training right there, they can go online and do all kinds of training that's offered by the state free of charge. So we are very active on our training.
Thank you. Mr. Ledet?
True statement. It's true statement. Answer the question, Chief.
Yeah, we're getting close to the end. Hopefully we have some questions back there with the committee. Mrs. Rito?
Yes.
Lake Charles offers several programs targeting the youth, such as Teen Connect. Would the council consider such similar programs that teaches Westlake youth life and business skills? And what funding options could you draw from to make it all possible?
Well, I do know that the council, has been doing different things. They, voted on the summer feeding programs, which went from, I believe, from 1,100 kids to 2,000 kids that they were able to feed. But there is more. There is more. I remember working here at the facility, the recreation facility, and we started the rec days then. And we would have it all day during the summertime. Now it's down to about 1 to 3 o'clock. And I believe that we need to push more, which, again, the recreation is great. But yeah, we need more programs. We have to get more programs to keep our babies active, not just in sports. Some people don't like, some kids don't like sports. So what can we do? We can offer them classes to learn how to be an entrepreneur. Just simple things like that. It doesn't take much to help our kids. We also have programs already here that are held in our churches that I believe our citizens need to know more about. So we, as a council, need to find something to implement as far as a calendar that will allow our citizens to know what's going on. Funding wise, I said that earlier, I know for sure of the Calcasieu Parish Block Grant because I was funded through that in one of my programs. So I know for sure that it is money out there to help our children, and I'll be the one to do it.
Thank you. This is a question from someone here tonight. I want to ask, this is for the candidates running for chief of police. We'll start with Mr. Wilbur. How much law enforcement, this is full-time experience, do you have, and do you think it is enough to handle the position of chief?
Yes, sir. I have currently 17 years in law enforcement, ranging from patrol to investigations, going back to patrol as supervisor on patrol. So in order to be an effective chief, you have to know how the in and outs workings of the department is. And by being a part of working in different divisions inside of an agency, that gives you the heads up or gives you the advantage of knowing how each department works. It gives you the experience to know how to effectively run the police department.
Lynette?
I've been there approximately 8 years, and I think it's plenty of time.
Thank you. And I'm going to go back to Miss Betty. I do apologize, but I forgot to ask you that question. So that's why with gray hairs are there.
Will you repeat the question?
I sure will. Lake Charles offers several programs targeting the youth, such as Teen Connect. Would the council consider such similar programs that teaches Westlake youth life and business skills? And what funding options could you draw from to make it all possible?
Well, as far as funding, anytime that you have let's say a grant, anytime you have a grant, you have to match it. Meaning if they give us $25,000, we have to have $25,000 to match. So we have to consider these kind of things. But as far as working with the children, I've asked them to go ahead and start doing things to teach children how to sew. I mean, girls how to sew, even guys how to sew at the recreation center. Teach them how to do skills like crochet, knitting,
Cooking.
things that young ladies can be taught now that have not been done in years. Quilting, all these things these girls and boys can learn in the recreation center. And I have asked and wanted this implemented into the recreation center. But we have to have the people that are interested in teaching the children as well as the children coming up here and offering. Yes, I'd like to see more for our youth. I'd like to see dances for our youth. We need to have things for the teenagers. They need to have dances. They need to have something to entertain themselves instead of being on the streets. I mean, back then a lot my children were little, we had dances, we had competitions even the churches, we had competitions in the churches. We need these things implemented again. We need to think of these things again. Thank you.
Can I say
Thank you.
something on that?
Yes.
With the CPSB grant, there's no match funds. You don't have to worry about that. What they're looking for is people who already have programs and curriculums ready. And whenever you go up to them, all you have to do is have your paperwork. They are ready because they don't want to have to implement the program. So it's not match funds, so we would be okay with that. And we also, our schools also have dances. So those are good. I know my kids are going to, they have the October 12th dance tomorrow night. So they are doing that also in the schools, which I think is really great because it is controlled by the schools. And they are not here in the recreation. And also the recreation can be utilized for what she's saying, the sewing. But we do have residents out here who are ready and willing to help in those areas, but we have to have a relationship with our citizens so that we know that. Thank you.
I have a couple of extra questions for the council, so I don't want to put the candidates for chief to the side, because I have two important questions to ask them, but I do want to get these two questions answered. They're coming from out here in the field today. So the first one is for both candidates on council, okay? And I'm going to ask Ms. Betty to start here. How do you feel about Westlake Police? Do you plan to support the chief in decisions that he has made to run the department?
Yes, we've always been, willing to take care of the chief. I mean, we're all, this council is always for wherever he has needed in the past. We're always willing to honor him in all his endeavors.
Thank you. Ms. Sharita?
Well, of course, we will do what we can with whoever is chief. And I think we just need to make sure that we offer everything that we may have to make it easier on our police chief. And, yeah, I would love to work with either one of them.
And the second question for the council candidates, guys, I'm coming back to you, is how can we get speed bumps, and I believe they're meaning off our busy side streets, or is it on our busy side streets? It's kind of hard to read, but I think that's what they're asking, how we can get busy speed bumps on our busy side streets. In those areas where there's some heavy traffic probably, and probably can slow the traffic down, is what it looks like they're asking.
Definitely on my street, Walker Drive, they speed down there. I would love to have some speed bumps. And I don't know how we would go about that, but that is really something that we need to look into. I'm sure it's maybe DOTD. Somebody's gonna have to come together. And that, I think that's where the chief and the council would have to work together, so that we could find the options on doing that. But I think, of course, we need, of course.
We have been asked about speed bumps in different parts of the city, and that is being taken care of by the mayor. And as soon as he takes care of presenting it to us, then we're, of course, will vote for it. Yes, we are definitely in favor of it. And we.
Thank you.
Can I answer that?
Absolutely.
We are in talks with different organizations about maybe getting speed bumps. We have to look at the liability of it and see if it's even feasible to have it on certain streets. If we go to put speed bumps up, someone gets into a wreck, hit somebody, who's going to be liable? So that's the area of concern that our city attorney is looking into, the liability for the city before we can go out and put speed bumps out there. But that has been a very hot topic on some areas too.
Thank you. Hey, fellas, I'm gonna start off with Mr. Ledet. And there's actually a two-part question. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you the first part to each one of you, and I'm gonna refer a question that has been placed for Ms. Bates, and then I'm gonna come back and follow up. So the first one is, what is your vision for Westlake in the next 4 years?
vision is just to get it, I mean, with all the growth we have going on, it's gonna be kind of hard to get back to where Westlake was, you know, as far as that great community orientation with law enforcement and everybody being involved, and you know, but it changed people so many times, so more often, people just move in and move out. I would just kind of just want to see our elderly taken care of a little bit better, you know, and I think the police department could put our hands in that and just, you know, the elderly and the youth, of course. I think we can just put our hands on that just a little bit more, but as far as, it's so unpredictable for me to answer that question as far as the growth and how fast it's going.
Thank you. Mr. Wheelwright.
With the growth of everything we have going on right now, it's imperative that we stay active in our community. Different programs, organizations going on. So with being out there active with the guys and staying in touch with the community, that'll go hand in hand. My vision is to continue improving our police department and improving the equipment that we have and going above and beyond. We recently updated our report writing system. We've been on the system since 1992, a free system through the state. Well, now the guys actually have a CAD system in their patrol cars where they get calls sent to them over the computer. They can sit there in residential neighborhoods, answer calls, do reports in the neighborhoods right now. So vision is to continue improving the equipment and also look to increase the pay for officers, to keep officers here. We don't want to be a training grounds for other agencies. Have officers come here, work 1 or 2 years, and leave and go to the agency. So by increasing the pay for the officers here and giving them the latest equipment, that's going to be the biggest hurdle and the biggest task that we're going to face for the next 4 years.
Thank you. This next question is for Mrs. Betty Bates. What are some of the achievements and projects you've accomplished for the city of Westlake in the past 4 years?
I'm very proud of my 4 years. We have gone ahead and, like I said, we have worked with the, selling the property, which is city property. We have 300 acres that we have sold, that our big houses are being built there. We have, got, let's see, 29 of them right now who've been sold. And they're in making a few of them right now, but in way of building. I have worked with building the new water tower on Gilder Street, I think, on Gilder Street. Johnson. The Jones Street
Jones, yeah.
water well. So that was part of that. Well, all the decisions that are made by all five of us. Nothing is being made by one person. We all have worked good together. We've all worked good together with the mayor. We've accomplished a whole lot in these 4 years. The police station, we've got a $3.5 million police station that'll be almost ready to move in by December the 12th, we're hoping. We are working with the clubhouse. That clubhouse is not being financed by you citizens. We've already got the money. We've got the money in reserve. We're trying not to put any burdens on anybody out here.
Thank you.
Or any of the citizens. Okay, also, trying to think of other things I've done in the 4 years. Well, anyway, I've done a whole lot, and I'm very proud of my 4 years. And I'm running on my 4 years of my accomplishments.
Thank you. Back to fellows over here running. Chief, when you answer the first part of that question, I want to get it followed up with, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll start with Mr. Liddell. What is your first 100-day plan of action?
First 100-day plan of action. Hey, with the way this election is going, I just want to see who love working at the Westlake Police Department and who doesn't. Who's in it for themselves and who's in it for the community. And I think that alone is going to take a little while. So that's where I'm at with that.
Mr. Wheelwright, what is your first 100-day plan of action?
First 100 days is like Joe Back says, continue to improve where we started. We've acquired over $400,000 worth of donations to get equipment. I look to continue doing it, working and building relationships with our industries to provide for our officers. To get more patrol cars out on the roadway, we just recently purchased a new Tahoe for patrol. We have another one on order right now. So the main thing is get bodies on the street, boots on the ground, and get these guys equipment and stuff that they need to actively do their job.
Thank you. And the final question is going to be for Mrs. Betty and Mrs. Sharmita. And this is a two-part question, which is the first part is, and we'll start with Ms. Sharmita. What is your vision for Westlake in the next 4 years? And the second part of it is, what is your first 100-day plan of action?
In 1 minute.
I'm being flexible. I'm being flexible. Go ahead.
Okay, I will work hard for you guys. I will be active out in the community, not just behind the city hall doors. I want to make sure that our children are pushed beyond their capabilities by bringing programs such as helping with the businesses, going to the seniors, being with the seniors, and having the seniors plant wisdom into them. Also working with the veterans. I want to make sure that everything I vote for has you in mind, with the ordinances, the budgets, and the resolutions. I will make sure that I get informed information. I want to be informed, so I ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions to make sure that I can come back to you and tell you why I voted for something. I want to make sure that I work with my council and that we can bring the community closer together with the council. If we can do that, we'll be more successful. I do feel like the council is visible, but only to certain areas. And I want to make sure that we are visible everywhere. I want to go out and get more education for my own self. I'm very teachable and I can learn quickly. So I don't have to worry about that when I get into the council. I will make sure I am educated and do what I need to do for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Betty?
Can you repeat the question?
Absolutely. The first part is a two-part question. The first part is, what is your vision for Westlake in the next 4 years? And then what is your first 100-day plan of action?